From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now! Thousands take to the streets of London to protest the G20 summit that opens today. We'll go to London to speak with former British MP Tony Benn. He spoke at the rally against the G20 yesterday. And we'll go to Strasbourg, where mass protests are expected for the upcoming NATO summit in France and Germany. Then a conversation with Marxist geographer and anthropologist David Harvey. And finally, Obama's Blackwater. We'll speak with investigative journalist Jeremy Scahill about Triple Canopy, the Chicago mercenary firm that's getting millions for private security in Iraq and Israel. All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The G20 summit has begun in London following a day of protests from thousands of people. On Wednesday, dozens were arrested at demonstrations throughout London's financial district. A number of protesters broke into the Royal Bank of Scotland and wrote "Thieves" on the bank's walls. One man involved with the protests died after collapsing in the street. We'll have more on the G20 meeting after headlines. Meanwhile, on the sidelines of the summit, President Obama joined Russian President Dmitry Medvedev to announce a new round of talks on lowering nuclear arsenals.
I believe we've begun today is a very constructive dialogue that will allow us to work on issues of mutual interest, like the reduction of nuclear weapons and the strengthening of our non-proliferation treaties, our mutual interest in dealing with terrorism and extremism that threatens both countries, our mutual interest in economic stability and restoring growth around the world, our mutual interest in promoting peace and stability in areas like the Middle East.
Obama is scheduled to visit Moscow for a summit in July. U.S. military commanders have asked the Obama administration for an additional 10,000 U.S. troops in Afghanistan next year. The request comes on top of the additional 21,000 troops President Obama's authorized since taking office. General David Petraeus made the disclosure in testimony Wednesday before the Senate Armed Services Committee.
There will be nothing easy about the way ahead in Afghanistan or Pakistan, or in many of the other tasks in the Central Command area. Much hard work lies before us, but it is clear that achieving the objectives of these missions is vital, and it is equally clear that these endeavors will require sustained, substantial commitment and unity of effort among all involved.
If Obama approves the request this fall, the U.S. occupation of Afghanistan would increase to some 70,000 troops. Meanwhile, the Obama administration also said Wednesday it's preparing to ask Congress for $3 billion in military aid for the Pakistani government over the next 5 years. In Afghanistan, at least 13 people were killed and another 14 wounded in an attack on a government office in Kandahar. A Taliban spokesperson claimed responsibility for the attack. Meanwhile, the leader of the Taliban's Pakistan wing is threatening to attack areas in the United States in response to American drone attacks that have killed hundreds of people. Baitullah Masood made the threat as he took responsibility for an attack on a police academy in Lahore. Meanwhile, here in this country, a group of Nevada peace activists has launched a daily vigil to protest U.S. attacks in Pakistan. The group is called Ground the Drones. It's gathering daily outside the Creech Air Force Base in Indian Springs, Nevada. In Israel and the occupied territories, the new Israeli foreign minister says his government is not bound to respect U.S. brokered agreements reached since the Annapolis summit in late 2007. Avigdor Lieberman made the assertion in his inaugural foreign ministry address.
Annapolis, the government of Israel has never ratified. Not the government of Israel and not the Knesset of Israel. Annapolis was never ratified. So whoever wants to have fun can continue to have fun. I have seen all the generous offer made by Ehud Olmert, but I have not seen any results.
Lieberman also signaled a readiness to launch new attacks on Palestinian lands, saying, quote, "Those who wish for peace should prepare for war." In the occupied territories, Palestinian cabinet member Samir Abdullah called on the Obama administration to pressure Israel to respect prior agreements.
We are awaiting difficult times with this government, and we hope that the international community and all parties which invested in the peace process and the United States that initiated the Annapolis process and hosted it should deal with Israel as it dealt with other countries which turn its back to the international legitimacy and to the will of international community.
The Obama administration has yet to respond publicly to Lieberman's remarks. In Guatemala, a television reporter has been killed and a camera operator seriously wounded in an apparent targeted shooting. Orlando Santis of Telecentro 13 was on his way to an interview when a group of assailants fired on his vehicle. The unnamed camera operator is in critical condition. The private military company Blackwater is being sued for allegedly killing 3 security guards working for state-owned Iraqi media. A new lawsuit filed on behalf of surviving relatives says the guards were shot on February 7, 2007, at a traffic circle in Baghdad. Some 20 Blackwater employees who witnessed the shooting allegedly refused to cooperate with Iraqi police and destroyed key evidence. The suit names Blackwater, which recently changed its name to Z, that's XE, along with several other companies controlled by Blackwater founder Eric Prince. We'll have more on Blackwater later in the broadcast with investigative journalist Jeremy Scahill. On Capitol Hill, the House has approved a weaker version of a bill to cap executive payments at bailed-out firms. The measure follows moves by Senate Democrats to quash last month's much-trumpeted House measure that would have imposed a 90% tax on bonuses. The new House measure limits the scope of bonuses that can be considered excessive and gives the Treasury greater leeway in oversight. In economic news, a new report says the U.S. private sector lost more jobs last month than previously thought. The survey company ADP Employer Services says private firms cut 742,000 jobs in March, up from the previous estimate of 706,000. A new internal audit has found a government program to improve worker safety has failed to do its job. Labor Department investigators say the Occupational Safety and Health Administration failed to collect data, carried out incomplete inspections, and missed out on identifying hazardous workplaces because it misspelled company names or didn't realize 2 subsidiaries had the same owner. The report also criticizes the Bush administration's move to restrict the number of companies subject to special attention, saying better oversight might have improved workplaces where 58 workers lost their lives. And the Obama administration's announced it'll drop all charges against former Republican Senator Ted Stevens of Alaska. Stevens lost his seat in November, just days after being convicted on federal ethics charges. But on Wednesday, Justice Department lawyers said they've uncovered new evidence of prosecutorial misconduct that called the case into question. Attorney General Eric Holder says he will not seek a new trial. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.